Namaste guys, it's a part 0 of a short series of videos that I'm recording about adjusting female students by male teachers in yoga classes. The reason why I'm recording that is that some time ago, like a month ago, my male friend, who is also a yoga teacher, he participated in one of my classes. And he gave me a feedback that I'm giving really good adjustments, and he kind of said that he has some little bit of lack of confidence with adjusting women, which kind of surprised me because the guy is is really experienced and quite a knowledgeable guy. And actually, I received in my life a lot of very positive feedback about my adjustments. Not always positive, but this is also like the lessons that I've learned, which I can also a little bit share this experience. So I felt that it might be a good idea to share that. So it will be 10 videos. I call it like ABC. Because I have a list, but we'll go like with A, which will be adjustment. So just a very general information about the adjustment, how to define it, at least for the purposes of those videos. Then we'll go B with Brahmacharya. So basically we'll talk about how to desexualize the yoga class, how to make sure that it's a yoga class and nothing else. Then we'll go with a lot of C, so the calmness, care, comfort, certainty, competence, confidence, credibility, and consent. And after that, there will be one more video with the letter D that will be more like a sum up of this series. My general experience is mostly about giving drop-in classes to various kinds of tourists, of travelers. So I don't have much experience with having like a long-time students. But I would say that, the most important is like your first interaction with a person. Because after that, if a woman comes again to your class, then probably you are doing everything right. So yeah, it was mostly about having this good first interaction with the students. So yeah, let's go. We will start with defining the adjustment, because of course in the yoga class there might be various kinds of adjustments, but mostly we'll focus on the hands-on adjustments. And by this I mean also any kind of interaction where you touch a student. Because we could say that there are 3 main reasons to give adjustments. So one reason is to adjust, so to show the direction of asana, how your body should be set in asana, how your muscles should be working in which directions. The other kind of adjustment is to push a student a little deeper in the asana, to either increase the range of the motion, or sometimes also just to show them that their capabilities in a given asana might be deeper than they think. And there is the part of the comfort, to comfort student. So by this I mean any kind of adjustments given during Shavasana. So sometimes some students, some teachers are giving some kind of massages, but also sometimes you come to student, you maybe pat them, you might little bit touch them in the way to show hey, I'm here, I'm taking care of you. Just this normal thing that you sometimes touch a person to give them some feeling of hey, you're not alone, we are here for you. So any kind of this kind of interactions, basically any touch, might be considered adjustment for the purpose of this video. And we'll focus only on adjusting women. Adjusting men by men is a completely different story. I'm not that experienced with adjusting non-binary people, but I would say that as a rule of thumb, we should be just, in most cases, just like even more careful with that, but otherwise everything I will say in those videos, it should also be applicable. Brahmacharya is translated in various ways, so it might be understood as like a complete celibacy, or just to not fall for the urges related with either sex or actually any other kinds of urges. But for the purpose of these videos, I mean mostly desexualizing the classes, desexualizing your students, so basically making sure that any woman that comes to your class, and I mean any, like even if your girlfriend would come to your class, or your wife would come to your class, and even if you would be giving them a private class, like private yoga class with your girlfriend or with your wife, it still should be absolutely desexualized, because otherwise it will be not a class of yoga. And of course, urges might happen in various scenarios, and especially if you are teaching in tropical places, like you might sometimes experience people coming in not very decent clothing for the class. But the most important is the intention, to be like completely understanding that at this moment you are a yoga teacher and any woman is a yoga student, and that's it. There is nothing more. That is just this teacher and student. And I would say that it's quite important. If you have any problems with this, I would say it's good to just get as much as possible of experience, of exposure for like naked or semi-naked women in non-sexual situations. So you know, like let's say in my culture in Poland, we rarely touch women in any kind of situations, like not related with in any kind of relationships. But then let's say that you go to sauna, you maybe go to the beach, maybe you do massaging, any kind of situations that just exposure you on the situations that you are watching, you are touching the woman, and this is not a sexual thing. All of these situations will help you to just get more confident and more okay with this, that it's not about sex at all. The next subject we have is the calmness, and it's about what generally a yoga class is about. So if we think about yoga as the definition from the Patanjali Sutras, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, so the goal of yoga is to stop the movements of the consciousness. It's of course difficult to understand very often, but for the purposes of when we lead a yoga class, we want to limit the distractions. So all of our interactions with the students should be as much as possible limiting the distractions in their mind. So the next few steps but the next few points I will describe, they will be very related with that. They will be going a little deeper into the details. But generally, I would say that we should have this quite a calm energy when we are teaching, and our interactions with the students should have this calmness. And it might of course be sometimes tricky when we are like mixing the masculine energy with the feminine energy, but yeah, that's our goal, to minimize any situations that could make a student not calm. Of course, it affects both male and female students, but in this situation, to make sure that our students are calm, and of course, if we are calm, then this energy will usually also pass to the students. So yeah, we need to always have in mind what is the goal of yoga. That is the cessation of the movements of consciousness, so that we want to minimize all the distractions. And with this idea, we'll go through next few points that will be supporting on how to specifically do that. So first point we have here is care. And of course there are students who need no care at all from you, which is completely fine. But very often, and I mean especially in my experience, as I'm teaching like a lot of solo female travelers, there are situations that the students need like a lot of care. And it might be also situations that they are like not even aware that they will come to the male teacher. So you know, there are situations that a woman might be just missing her home, or maybe something actually happened during her travels, and or I mean in whatever life situations. But sometimes students need a lot of care, and it's our goal to make them feel seen, make them feel comfortable. We'll go to this comfortable part in a moment. But yeah, we need to put a lot of care into the students, and adjustments might help with this a lot, especially with like, you know, even giving the props, or sometimes yeah, just this like a pat on the shoulder, and just sometimes to ask, hey, is everything okay? You know, all of this stuff, it might make some difference. So we need to be sure that the students feel that we are taking a good care of them. This is basically a big part of what we can give them, because at least that's my kind of philosophy, that during the drop-in class with many students I will see them only once in my life, so I can't really teach them too much, and it's also not like a psychotherapy or anything like this, but the care, like this very basic care of, yeah, sometimes cover somebody with a blanket, sometimes just say some good words, sometimes just, yeah, just pat on the shoulder, any kind of those situations, it might actually really help a person. And we should be always making sure that we are taking good care. If a student doesn't need a care, that's great, and most of the time we'll be able to feel that it's everything good. But it's good to have this in mind, that we need to take a good care of the students. Next is the comfort, which is quite similar to care, but by this I mean also to make sure especially that we are not making students uncomfortable in any way. It will be more described in the next videos also, but basically we need to make sure that we understand that a person who comes to yoga class, they might have various traumas, and it might be a fresh thing, and it might be some kind of old thing, but yeah, people come in a very different state. We are not always able to say straight away about their comfort, but we need to be very careful with everything which we do, because like I've mentioned, that there might be situations that maybe I don't know, it's even real scenarios that women are being raped or in any other way offended, and they might come to the class of yoga to try to deal with it, and they might not be aware that that there will be a male teacher. So this kind of situations, they might be just the fact that you are a man in some situations might be uncomfortable. Probably not like, of course, in most situations not, but we need to be super careful about that, everything that we do need to be comfortable for this. This is a very specific situation, right? Because in like generally in life, it's not our goal to make everybody comfortable, and basically discomfort is also a very good thing in the life, but not in the scenario when you are meeting a person for the first time, and this is like the specific scenario of teacher and student. We need to be extremely sure that students are treated comfortably, that they feel comfortable. It's even better to go too much comfortable than not enough comfortable for them. The next subject is certainty, and by this I mean to make sure that both we as male teachers, we understand everything I said before, but also that it is perfectly understandable for a student, that there is nothing else here than just being a teacher and a student. And very often it might be sometimes confusing in the way that, let's say, that completely out of yoga situation or out of yoga class, we might often see that some women are like, they like uncertainty, like that, let's say you try to make women interested in you might try to actually make her like uncertain, right? Like so she's not sure, does he like me, does he not like me? It's kind of like playing some mind games. It's not here to say whether it's good or wrong, but I mean, we might sometimes have very different experiences with certainty and uncertainty. But when it comes to the class of yoga, we need to be absolutely sure that it's both for us and both for the students. It's absolutely certain what are our roles, and that there is nothing more, nothing less about us. Also, certainty is important in the way to tell the students about the adjustments in some situations, like to not surprise the students with the adjustment. Like, let's say if I'm giving some adjustments, like kind of massaging the back in the child pose, I'm telling the students that it will happen, because in some situations it might be quite surprising, and we don't want to surprise the students, also because of their comfort, because that we are taking care of them, and because of the certainty. So it's important to to make sure that everybody knows our roles. And so in this situation, it builds a comfort. So yeah, we need to be perfectly sure about our roles. The next subject is competence. And by this I mean that we need to know what we are doing. So any kind of adjustment, we shouldn't be like just practicing it first time on the student. This is something that we should both know the asana, experience this asana, and as much as possible, it's great if you have any kind of opportunity to practice it, like with a friend. Like the perfect situation is to try any kind of new adjustment that you want to do with other yoga teacher. Specifically, it's best if you can practice it with a female yoga teacher. So this way you might get used to this adjustment, and you will also get a feedback whether you are doing it correctly, whether this kind of feedback, this kind of touch in any specific situation might feel uncomfortable for the student. And yeah, I mean, this is also generally to any kind of adjustments, but specifically when we are adjusting for men, this might be much more tricky. So when it comes to technique, I could say that, you know, one thing is to feel like your own energy, because you might touch a person in different ways. The same touch, like I don't know, like you might touch somebody's knee, it might have like kind of intimate energy, or it might have absolutely clearly just like a proper physical yogic energy of just a touch for the purpose of adjustment. This is also something I feel we can just practice on a friend or whoever, just to make sure that the energy how we are touching is proper. And also the technique, like I find it important to just use the hands in the way that we mostly, like very often I avoid touching with the fingers. If it's not needed, I mostly touch with this part of the hand, with this part of the hand. The less you grab, of course, if you need to grab in any specific situation, yeah, you might grab, but the less we are grabbing, the more we are using like any kind of parts of the body that does not have a feeling in the touch, then the more clear will be adjustments, the more we will avoid any misunderstandings with that. And if you get all the previous points, then we might get to the confidence, which is a very important thing, but it's not about being overconfident. So specifically, if you feel that you would lack in any previous points, then it's better to not be confident, to not try to not adjust at all. Generally, confidence is very important in the way that unless you are confident, then your touch might give a very creepy feelings. Because if you are confident, if you know what you do, you just grab or whatever, but you do it in the way that you know what you do. The students can feel your energy. They understand that you are the teacher, you know what you are doing. So this way it helps to create all those things like comfort, care, all of this. If you lack the confidence, this might lead to the feelings, especially this uncertainty. And you know, women are very good in feeling any kind of energies. So I mean, if you are in any way like a creepy teacher that just wants to touch women in the class, they will feel it. And I mean, if you are like this, then please don't adjust people. example. But if you are just like a little bit afraid, you're not sure how to, you are too afraid of can I touch or not, it will give the uncertainty, and the uncertainty will lead to discomfort. So unless you have this, it's better to not adjust, or to limit adjustments just to the things in which you are feeling comfortable. And of course it requires a lot of experience. First times I was adjusting women was very stressful for me, but at some point I got very confident with that, and I feel that the more confident you are, then the more students are positively reacting to this. So unless you are confident, then it's better to just practice on your friends. Specifically, like I would say that it's always good to just have some female yoga teachers to practice with, because they are like very used to be touched, so it's like it's less uncomfortable for all of you, and you can just practice, and only then when you feel confident with that, you can go for it. Our next point is credibility, and by this I mean to have a situation when you have kind of like a certain situation of who you are, where you are. By example, like, you know, most of the time I'm teaching in like a well-known school which has some good Google reviews, where my name is also often mentioned. I'm like a very open person, I'm not hiding my name or whatever, so I kind of giving some credibility. But you know, there might be situations like, I don't know, you are in the hostel and you meet a new person and you are talking about yoga, and there's the idea like hey, let's make a class tomorrow or whatever. And in this kind of situations, we need to be much more careful about not only our intentions in general, but you know, about this situation, that if you are giving like a private class in some very unusual location, then just this fact might be affecting those points we've been talking before. So like the certainty, the comfort, and all of these situations. So this kind of credibility is, I mean, that if like a student is not really sure who you are, whether you are like properly certified teacher and whatever, then I mean, even if you would have like only the best intentions, but then I would say you should be much more careful with the adjustments, because the same adjustment in different situations might be understood very differently. If you give, even like to, we could imagine to the same woman, you give adjustment in like a yoga class with other people, with like a proper yoga shala, and to her twin sister or whatever in like some small hostel area or whatever, in the situation that she doesn't know you, she hasn't met you as a yoga teacher, you're just mentioning in talk or something like this. In these situations, we should be more careful about how we are dealing with that, even if we have just a proper good intentions, but just the energy might be different because of those situations. So we should be more careful about that. And finally, we are getting to the consent. And it might be surprising that consent is like the last part, because it's obviously the most important thing, but I purposely put it on the last point, because I would say that as long as you are not sure about all those previous points, then you shouldn't be even asking about the consent. It's like if you are not properly prepared to adjust people, you don't properly understand all of those ideas, you don't have with confidence with that, it's better to not even ask if you can. And there are various ways of asking for the consent of the students. The way I do that, and it works well for me, is just asking students before the class, when we are starting the class, when we sit for some kind of opening meditation. I ask the students to close the eyes, and I'm telling that there might be a physical adjustment, so different ways of touching during the class, and I just asked to raise the hand if anybody feels uncomfortable with that. And yeah, I would say it works well for me. Not saying that's the best method. Some people are asking like before every adjustment. If a person is okay with that, I guess it's also a great method, but I'm just not using that. And what I think is most important with the consent is that we need to accept that it can be removed at any time. So the student has absolute right to first say that she's fine with being touched during the class, and during the class she might change her mind. Usually by saying like thank you or I'm okay or something like this, we need to be very careful, because sometimes you might be not really sure about what the student said, and you don't really want to mess like entire class with like asking about the details. But then a rule of the thumb should be to just avoid. If you're not sure if you have the consent or not, you should be avoiding it. And I would say that very important is that if the consent was taken out during the class, it's very important to ask the student after the class if everything was okay, if you by any chance did something wrong. And I mean, we might be making mistakes, but as long as we will show that we care, that our intentions were good, according to my experience, everything will be fine. And to sum up all the previous videos, we'll have a letter D, which comes for a dad's energy, not a daddy energy, which is very important, but the dad's energy, like a father energy. If we think about the characteristics of a father, like the archetype of the father, of the dad, the father is big, strong, is competent, is confident, smart, he takes a good care, he gives the protection. So basically those are all the elements that you would like students to feel in you, from you. You want to give this kind of energy. Like very often in different kind of relations, like more kind of romantic relations, we don't like when a woman says that, oh, you are like a brother to me, like a friend to me, like a dad or whatever. But in this specific situation, when you are a teacher and you have a student, then this dad's energy is a perfect kind of energy, yeah, just to make sure that students can trust you, that you have all those important masculine elements with at the same time all this certainty that there is nothing romantic, nothing sexual, nothing in this. There is no kind of distractions in this. There is just like a pure trust. This is the kind of vibe that you need to create. So that's the summary of this series. It felt like I would be able to tell much more. I'm just like limiting those videos because it's like Instagram limits them to 3 minutes per video, I think. So maybe I will record it someday once again, like with some more knowledge. But yeah, for now I will just publish it like this and see if the feedback, if there is even point in creating more of that. So yeah, that's it, and if you would have any questions, happy to help, happy to share more.